You are listening to KC Sports Network, the #1 podcast network for today's Kansas City sports fans. With former players from your favorite teams, informed perspectives, and former insiders, this is the place for you. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, or on our YouTube channel, all over social media, or our morning newsletter, KCSN Daily, dedicated to your Kansas City Chiefs. KC Sports Network is proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
All right, folks, what is good? We're back. Another live show. The comments are already going. I love to see that. Boys, I don't know where to start. Actually, I do know where to start. We're Big 12 champions again. 17 out of 20. It's absolute bananas. We'll get into all that. It was fitting. It was honestly extremely fitting that we had to absolutely gut that out, grind that out, to seal the Big 12 title last night, because that was a wildly stressful final 2 minutes, but we got it done. It seems wild. You think back a month ago to think that we could wrap this thing up with a full game left on the schedule. It didn't seem doable. But Bill Self does what Bill Self does better than truly, and we'll talk about CJ Moore's article, truly better than anyone else has ever done. He does what he does. He wins Big 12 conferences. Also, AB, before we get going, can you remind the folks what month it is?
Folks, as of midnight, 22 hours ago, 20 hours ago, depending on where you're from, this is fucking March, baby. Let's go. #1 month of the year, no doubt in my mind. Basketball and basketball and basketball. Starting, I think, Saturday. Maybe it's next Wednesday or something. We have day college basketball every day for a week, and then we take 3 days off and have it again for another long weekend.
First half unders.
Better than March. Yeah, 11 a.m. first half, baby.
Best month of the year. I'm so jacked. Every time I read This Is March, I get so fired up. But B-Turn, how are you feeling after the Big 12, clinching the Big 12 title last night? We gutted it out, like I said. Where are you at with this team right now? How good did that feel last night?
Yeah, I feel great. And me and AB were sitting there just talking about Dewan, Kevin, and Jay Will. They're winners, dude. They find ways to win, grind it out. They've been really good in tight games late, just finding ways to win games. But the fact that they have a chance to go 14-4 and obviously the best league in the country, Dickie V said it was the best league he's seen in 20 years. They have a chance to go 14-4. They already clinched a share. They have a chance to clinch it outright tonight if TCU wins at home. So 14-4 seems wild to me because weeks ago we talked about 12-6 maybe sharing it, and that seemed a little crazy. We've rattled off a bunch in a row. We had a crazy stretch. So, yeah, this team just finds ways. I love how they can buckle down, get stops late in tight games. Dewan, Kevin, two of the best defenders in the country. I think Kevin might win National Defensive Player of the Year again. So,
yeah, it's crazy. And I wrote this note down because we were kind of texting about it last night. But, do you feel like there's any trio? So I'm calling this Dewan, McCullough, and Jalen. Any three players on any other team in the country that you would rather have in the final 2 minutes of a basketball game? Not talent-wise. That's not the most talented trio, not even the most talented trio on our team. But time and time again, we've seen these dudes make plays. That's not even counting the fact that Bill Self's coaching these guys. These guys have just made play after play after play after play in the final minutes. And I started thinking, is there a different trio in the country that you would possibly take over those guys? I don't think there is. It's crazy how much I trust all three of those guys late in the game.
Yeah, and we've said it all year. They're so battle-tested. They played in so many big games. McCullough was at Tech. They played in the national championship there. Obviously, Jay Will Dewan won a national title last year, played in huge arenas. So, yeah, they find ways to get stops. They find ways they play their asses off, dive for loose balls. Like last night, Kevin McCullough, obviously with the steal, which that's been a topic on social media, of course, from K-State fans and things like that, saying it was a foul. But
I can't hear. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I can't hear you guys.
I can hear you great. I can
All
hear
right, I'm gonna go grab a
great.
different pair of headphones. You guys just, gerrymander a little bit and just keep it going.
We love
All
it.
right.
But yeah, I think last night, just after the game, just kind of thinking how I really haven't appreciated Kevin McCullough enough. And I know that's probably because he hasn't been here that long. Obviously, this has been his only year, but I think we expect guys to come in and score, be elite scorers. But with Kevin McCullough, they knew what they were getting. Bill talked about that. He picked up his phone first night, the transfer portal opened, and called Kevin McCullough, which was cool to hear Bill talk about after the game. Just how he really wanted Kevin McCullough. He didn't really want anyone else. And I think that was a perfect fit because with the personnel and how good they are defensively, I think he fit in perfectly. And yeah, he hasn't been an elite scorer, but I truly don't think our fans have appreciated him enough because he does everything. He hasn't shot the ball extremely well, but he never really has in college. And he is unbelievable defensively, can guard any position. And just makes winning plays. That's really what Kevin McCullough is. He's a winner. And like you said, Dewan and Jalen Wilson too.
I just felt like it was so fitting for us to win that game last night. Him playing against his old team, the team that, that fan base has been brutal on him, for him to not only make a big play, but a play that was like the definition of why Bill Self loves a guy like Kevin McCullough. He just went at that ball harder than anyone else on the court. They wanted it to be called a foul. If you want that to be called a foul late in the game, you're soft, and that's why you're losing a lot of basketball games. Like, I love that McCullough got that sweet revenge. Shout out Kyle Coffey. He posted this in the comments. McCullough's stuff at the rim. I think that was with like 5-6 minutes left. Incredible play. Like, the dude is so good at defense, and yeah, I stared down the Tech bench. Like, the dude wanted that game more than anyone on the floor, and he played like it, and ultimately we won the game. Because of that. AB, how's your hearing doing?
I got it now. I don't know. I think my AirPods just disconnected or something, but it was rough there for a minute.
It's kind of it's kind of wild how, we saw Dewan just be this elite defensive stopper last year. I think fans were coming around on him a little bit, but then once the tournament came, how good he was defensively in the national title game. I was looking last night, Caleb Love was 5 of 24. Can you imagine what we would say about if KU had a star go 5 for 24 from the floor in a national title game? But Dewan does all that, and we pick up a better defender in the offseason than Kevin McCullough, who's Naismith Defensive Player of the Year finalist, and just does everything. And we knew I've said this a couple times already, but we knew this already with Kevin McCullough. He's not an elite scorer. He's never been this guy that knocks down jump shots consistently. He's just going to do the dirty work, finish around the rim, get putbacks, get to the line. Last night he had 9 rebounds and a ton of big plays defensively, obviously.
Yeah, AB, what you guys had sweet seats last night. I was up in my normal seats with the peasants, I guess. What was your takeaway? Sounded like that was first time in Allen Fieldhouse in a while. Give me your thoughts.
The place was more juice than I expected. I think it hit like 126 on the decibel meter, which is sneaky close to the record.
Nuts.
It was crazy.
Yes, it was nuts.
But no, it was a great game. Braiden, again, thank you for taking me. Much appreciated. Great time with the guy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you guys have already touched on already, but Jalen continues to he just lost his shooting stroke, it appears, which is kind of annoying. He still put up, 20 points? Yeah. I don't know what he finished with, but a lot of it was free throws or layups. And then just one thing we've talked about all year, KJ, is he good enough as our 5? I thought he got pretty exposed against whatever the fuck that guy's name was. He was the worst player that we have ever seen in the first half. And then in the second half, he was just unstoppable. I think he had like 18 rebounds.
Was that the most air balls ever put up in an Allen Fieldhouse? O'Banner missed one by 12 feet. I'm behind that basket. That ball was the worst shot I've ever seen put up in Allen Fieldhouse. And the one guy you're talking about also put up some absolute
whatever his name was. Well, he missed that wide open layup, which just shouldn't happen as a 7-footer. Missed the tip in after that, and then had the nerve to shoot a 3 the next possession. And I think he airballed that short and way to the right. Like, he just wasn't even close. But yeah, that's really all I have on last night. As close and exciting of a finish that it was, the game to me wasn't all that interesting because I never ever felt that KU had a chance to lose that game. And that sounds crazy up one with like 40 seconds left, but like, did you ever actually think Tech was winning on senior night?
I didn't, but I'm one of those guys that, like, what have we won now? 39 in a row on senior night. Is that right?
I think it's 40.
40 in a row. Like, I'm always that guy sitting there like, okay, well, we've got to lose one at some point. The longer you let these guys hang around, they are desperate for a win. Like, it did start to creep in my mind that, man, this feels like a banked 3 at the shot clock buzzer away from us losing this game. Like, I had that fear. For whatever reason, Texas Tech just kept driving the basketball. And, like, I died when they very much needed to look for a 3, and they drove, and, that's ultimately why we won the game. But I don't know. I feel good. Like I said at the beginning, that sums up this entire conference slate. Like, nothing was easy. It's crazy how many close games we won. And to think we wrapped it up and we still have one left on the schedule is pretty awesome. So, yeah, I think that's about as much as we need to talk about when it comes to that game, because we got more fun stuff to talk about. We got to talk about just how absurd Bill Self is. Like, AB, I think you jokingly texted today, like, let's just talk about how good Bill Self is for the next 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we're not going to do that unless people want that. Just kidding. But
still probably wouldn't do that.
It truly is crazy. CJ Moore, shout out him, put out an awesome article, which I feel like it's the first time someone's finally come out and just said it. But Bill Self's the best regular season college basketball coach of all time. And, like, I think you can fairly confidently start to say that. And I thought it was very interesting that somebody finally just came out and said that, because he's now won 17 of 20 at Kansas. I think he won his last 2 when he was at Tulsa, didn't he? He won. Yeah,
I think it's 21 out of 25 as a whole for him.
Hasn't been worse than a 4 at KU. He's 310 and what is it? 307 and 17 at Allen Fieldhouse. He has as many conference titles as home losses, and he's the best coach at the winningest program in college hoops history. Everyone loves Roy, obviously Fog Allen, things like that. But Bill Self, 518 and 129, 17 conference titles. He has 9 conference. He's won 9 conference tournaments. Roy's the second closest with 4. 4 Final Fours. Roy had 4. He has the most national titles of any coach at KU. So he's definitely the best regular season coach, and he's one of the best coaches in the history of the game. Like, I know everyone looks at things from national titles perspective, but you got to get super lucky. You got to get hot. You got to get nice matchups in March. We know how crazy March is. I don't really judge college basketball coaches from national titles. Obviously, you want to win them. Coach K had 5. Roy won multiple at UNC, but Bill's track record's crazy. He hasn't been worse than a 4 at KU. Hasn't missed the tournament. He's only lost he hasn't lost in the first round since what, 06?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is kind of bananas, to be honest. But I guess if you're a top 3 seed,
when you're a 1 seed, I mean, he's not Tony Bennett, so he's squeaking those 1 seeds out. So AB, I've got a few things I want to share on this Self thing. I took some screenshots. Do you have anything before I jump into those?
On Self, no,
Yeah.
Not really. It's just nice to have by far and away the best coach in the sport, and it's not even arguable.
No, it's not.
I would say this though, like, and we've talked about it before, but it's going to change at some point, whether it's his final years here or when he decides to leave and we hire someone else. Like, this isn't going to be KU basketball forever. So just don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably guilty of this as well, but don't get used to the fact that you just won the best conference according to Dick Vitale in the last 20 years. Don't sleep on the fact that you just did that, and maybe by 2 or 3 games by the end of next week.
And how about the
just
stat?
Because we're used to it.
How about the stat or the number you tweeted about Big 12 just as a whole in the last however many years? How it's been far and above better than any conference in the country, and it's kind of crazy because we win the 14th straight, and obviously rival fan bases are like, oh, it's the Big 12. Big 12. For some reason, they just don't think the Big 12 is good. They're like, it would be crazier in the Big 10, ACC, whatever. There's a stretch where they go through Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, Michael Beasley. This year, best league we've seen in years. Like, Big 12's loaded, and the past few years, especially, Baylor wins the national title. We win it last year. Texas Tech plays in it, whatever year that was, where they could have beat Virginia. Somehow Virginia won that natty. But Big 12 has been, I mean, maybe you can argue it. Other people are going to say it hasn't been the best in the country. I think numbers wise, it has been. And it's obviously at least been one of the best. It's not like it's a bottom tier Power 5 conference.
I mean,
no, you're
I think
selling
it's
it
the
short,
best.
Braiden. It is the best by a significant
yeah.
margin. Like, so yeah, I tweeted yesterday, but for anyone that was confused or didn't see it, I went through Ken Palm's conference rankings year to year and averaged them out over the last 20 years or since Self got to KU. The Big 12 average finishing rank was 2.2 on the year. And the next closest was like 3.3. There was a 4.5 in there. It's consistently the best conference in basketball. And all Bill Self does is win. And if he doesn't win, he's like second or third. It's not like the years that he doesn't win it, he's like sixth place or playing on Wednesday night in Kansas City in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. Like he's up until the last week of the season, he's been in it every single year.
I read this fact today and I almost had to cancel the rest of my meetings. I almost had to just go home and sit down and think about how absurd this is. This is from the CJ Moore article. If Bill Self were a university, he'd rank 9th all time in regular season high major conference championships. If he were his own college, he's beating other colleges. He's top 10 all time high major conference championships. And he's coached for what? I mean, he's coached Illinois and KU for the last 23 years in Tulsa. I mean, he was at Oral Roberts, Tulsa, whatever. He's coached, I guess, a long time, but like he's done that. And you could argue he has 10, 15 years left. Like a lot of the all-time greats make it to 75. I don't think Bill will, but that right there just blew my mind.
Have you heard the Coach K one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so like Coach K was a Duke for 45 years and he only won, 13 ACC championships. Everyone that's not a KU fan would sign up for that in 1 second. If you're only taking regular season success, because obviously he's got national championships too, but 14 in like 45 years and Bill's got 3 more than he does in half the time. It's just so stupid to me.
The consistency is crazy. 17 of 20 is wild. And like you said, when they don't win the Big 12, it's not like they're out of the race. Even the year when we first started the pod, the old ain't no seats curse, when the streak ended, we were still in it late. I remember us watching that Oklahoma game in Norman where we still kind of had a chance. We were still hanging on to hope.
So sad. We were so hopeful and that team was so bad.
Yeah, Doak getting hurt sucked, but yeah, it's the consistency is crazy. Like 20 plus wins every year. I mean, a lot of 30-win seasons, making the tournament every year. I already said not worse, hasn't been worse than a 4, but he gives us a chance every year. Like going into March, you can somehow talk yourself into at least going on a run. And I'm so glad he got a second natty because that just solidifies him, I think, as the best coach in KU history and definitely the best coach in the country.
Right. I love this. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you, but oh shit, let's go for Auburn. Just hit a 3 to go up 4. Anyways, Braiden, you asked me this last night on the way home, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. Ryan, I want your thoughts on it too.
I really
when Bill retires, what are they going to name after him? Like they can't change Allen Fieldhouse, they can't change James Naismith Court. Like, but he has to have
the best coach we've had.
I'm not ruling out like it being called like
Bill Self Court,
Fog Allen Field. Like I don't know. How do you not put him on that building or that court?
He's the best we've had.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you just name the entire. I don't know, but you have to put some, like he is like that's what's wild. Bill Self took over for this program. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Steven. Rename the entire state to Bill Self. He took over this program worried about living up to expectations, and when it's all said and done, he's going to be the new face of Kansas basketball. Like that is an insane thing to think about. Obviously, James Naismith will always be that name, and Fog Allen is a huge name. But like when it's all said and done in 50 to 100 years, people are going to know Kansas basketball because of Bill Self, I think, more than they do Fog Allen. I agree with Kyle. I think he's going on the building. You have to put him on the building in some way. I don't know if it's Self Allen Fieldhouse, Allen Self. I mean, it doesn't flow. is amazing, but we can workshop it. Hopefully we've got 15 years. I am against naming courts and buildings after people while they're still actively coaching.
Yeah, that's weird.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Like Coach K coaching on Coach K court or whatever, but I'm sure he like held them to gunpoint and demanded they do that. So,
I mean, I don't know if this sounds crazy or not. I feel like we know where we stood. Like we knew KU was a blue blood before KU came here, but I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like rival fan bases would be like, KU's not a blue blood. They don't win enough natties, blah, blah, blah. Bill Self comes here, wins 17 conference titles, wins 2 natties. He's been to 4 Final Fours here. And then we became the winningest program in college hoops history. Like he came here and turned, we were obviously up there with Kentucky, but I feel like he solidified KU as obviously, I mean, we already knew we were a blue blood, but I feel like he solidified us as a blue blood and one of the top college basketball program, like top 2, top 3. I know there was a combo on Twitter the other night about Kentucky, Duke, UNC, KU. I just feel like you can't even argue it anymore because Bill Self's turned KU into the winningest program in the country. It's wild.
You want to hear something wild that our boy Adam Sullivan, we've shouted him out before, the stat king. So Kansas has a maximum of 10 games left this season. Bill Self is 10 wins away from passing Fog Allen as the winningest basketball coach in history. Can you imagine that? I mean,
going back to back.
Yeah, going back to back, he becomes the winningest head coach. Like at that point, I'm done with Allen Fieldhouse. It's Bill Self Fieldhouse now. Like, sorry, Fog. See you later. Just kidding. Don't quote me on that. But
sure,
it's
no
crazy.
One will clip that out of context.
Yeah, for sure. One last thing on Self. This was also from the CJ Moore article. I just thought this was interesting. Since in AB, I know you pay attention to a lot of these types of stats, especially this year. So obviously, when teams win the national title, the next year they haven't seen a ton of success. In fact, only 5 since 2007. They don't see tournament success. 5 since 2007 have won their conference. 2 of those 5 are Bill Self. He won it in 2009. He won it in 23. Like, it's crazy. So really 3 since 2007 outside of Bill Self have managed to turn around and win their conference. And it's not like he's doing it with the same group of guys. He completely refigured this roster. And it's crazy. So I think that's what I had on Self. I wanted to make sure we spent plenty of time on that because what he's doing is truly bananas. And I did notice, funny comment, what would the curriculum at Bill Self University be? Loading wagons, defensive positions, high-low offense, and how not to be soft. I would add, like, I've said this before on the pod this year, like, I'm obsessed how he keeps referencing game point.
Oh, he keeps doing it.
We got to make plays at game point. Like, I don't remember him doing that, and now I'm just, like, so fired up watching.
I wonder who he got that from. It might have been the guys. I was thinking earlier, and I kind of wanted your guys' opinion. Like, what's the best era of Bill Self basketball that we've had here? Like, I was thinking 08 through 11 and 12 was pretty wild. Yeah. And then went on a run with 16 was really good. 17 was really good. 18, they go to the Final Four. And then now 2020 it was crazy.
It's just tough.
It was number 1 overall. Yeah. Alabama loses this. They got a great chance to be number 1 overall again this year. We'll get to that. Last year they win the Natty. They were a 1 seed. I know USC beat us by 40. So I was just thinking like best era we've had like under Bill Self.
It just sucks because we had the COVID years mixed in there that I felt just kind of disrupted how things were going. 2021 was obviously just a weird year. But yeah, I mean, right now you could say you even say 20. Now we're really spreading this era out, but 2016 through now has been pretty dang absurd. Like number 1 overall seed in 16, number 2 overall seed in 17. 2018, you make a Final Four. 2020, you're the best team. 2022, you win it all. And 2023, you're going to be another 1 seed. Like, I know we've pretty much had that type of consistency the entire stretch, but it really has been an absurd 7 years here. But we've also had some 2 stinkers. As Bill said last night, we jacked around. We jacked around on those years we couldn't win it.
I want to talk about just the job this year because it's insane. I feel like we haven't talked about it yet, just how much he lost. Obviously, Ochai CB going the first round. They lose Dave. They lose Remy Martin, who we need to do a reminiscent pod on the Natty last year because I went through a rabbit hole on YouTube last night just watching Remy. Unbelievable. But yeah, we lose Remy. We lose four of our top 5 starters. We lose 2 guys to the league. Dave, obviously, and lose 75% of your scoring. You come back. The Big 12's loaded. AB, I don't know how many teams are going to make the tournament. 8, 7, maybe
7 to 9, probably.
Oklahoma State stinks now. They might not make it.
So you got best league in the country, best people have seen in years. You lose 75% of your scoring, top 3 scorers, 4 of your top 5, and you win the league with a game to spare. And just thinking back to like 2-3 weeks ago when we were talking 12-6 sharing, if I would have told you we were going to win the league with a game left, I feel like we would have laughed. But they haven't. I don't think they've lost a game since then. But just the job he's done this year, losing that much scoring, and it's every year, dude. He just reloads. Our fans, even me, will freak out a little bit in the spring when the roster's kind of looking a little weird. And then he has a guy like Kevin McCullough, and then Kevin McCullough completes the team. Like every offseason, he finds a way. He'll get a transfer, bring in a recruit. He's just best coach in the country, and the job he's done this year. And that's why I brought up the era thing. It feels like he's becoming a better coach as time goes.
I really do think he's like, I think that's very fair to say. He's like improving as a coach somehow. I mean, the fact that we're doing this with a 6'7" center is bananas. But all right.
Could I get some hypothetical stuff going?
Yes.
Or I don't know if it's hypothetical.
Also,
well, there's 8 seconds left in this Auburn.
Don't spoil it for me.
Yeah, AB's like 5 seconds ahead of me. I'm going to watch his face. For those not watching, we're listening, or we are watching Auburn, Alabama. Oh, we got overtime.
I'm just,
wow.
Also, I don't know Kentucky how close you guys were watching, but like Bama has the ball with 50 seconds left in a tie game. How in the fuck are you not going 2 for 1 there? They waited till there's 25 seconds left to shoot.
Their coach is not Bill Self. That's why.
Well, I mean, if I can figure it out, then he can. Nate Oates can. I mean, dude, I know he's not watching player intros or who's got guns in each other's cars, but I mean, come on now. Sorry, I got to get that out of my. Anyways, hypothetical time or toss-up time. I want your guys' opinion. I was thinking about this all afternoon and all evening, and then our boy Cole Pete texted me the same message and asked, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Holy shit, that's crazy." Who are you rooting for tonight, Texas or TCU? And I know it sounds obvious, like, oh, root for TCU. The Big 12 is going to be over outright completely. I think I'm rooting for Texas. But I want to hear what you guys think first before I explain.
I need to know where the hypotheticals I need to know both sides of it. Where are you going?
So the reason
right, what's your first thought? Like,
I mean, I know where AB's going. I think AB and me kind of had this conversation before we even won last night. AB just wants a big time conference championship game on Saturday. It's not even just that though. It's not. I mean, partially yes. Like that game would be so exciting if Texas has like a conference championship to play for. KU has an outright to play for. Like that game's gonna have a lot of juice. But also, Texas wins tonight. That only helps their resume, their net ranking, their quad 1 wins, whatever you want to add to it. So it only makes a win against Texas look better or a loss look better. If Texas comes and loses a TCU and then we lose to a Texas team that's not playing for anything but seeding, then it's like, okay, well, you're probably not going to get the number 1 overall. If you lose to a Texas team on Saturday and they beat TCU and KU in the same week, they're going to be top 5 next week at least. So, like, to me, it's we've already won a share, and I've been very adamant this year. I don't really care that much about winning the conference. It's cool. The Bill Self stats are insane. But, like, as long as this team's peaking at the right time and gets a good draw and a good seed and location in March, that's really what I'm focused on, not another conference championship.
I like the last comment.
I was going to say that. L-man dude.
Yeah. See, I can agree with that,
too. The best conference. I mean, that's kind of exciting to think we could, if they lose tonight and then we go in and beat Texas, it's going to feel just as good to us. It's still going to get the same amount of hype nationally if we go in and win at Texas. And we'd also secure the league by 2 games. And now your buddy Joe Lenardi's sitting on ESPN saying this Kansas team won the league by 2 games. They have to be the number 1 overall seed. Like,
right. That will happen regardless if we win on Saturday. if Texas loses tonight and we win, then we beat Baylor and or K-State by 2 games, and Texas by 3 games. If Texas wins tonight and then we beat them on Saturday, we beat Texas by 2 games. So like, if we're winning the league outright, it's by multiple games. That's why it's,
there's just
regardless of what happens tonight.
In no world am I cheering for Texas. Just I would like to clinch it outright tonight, and then you win the Big 12, you win the best conference in the country outright. I don't know. There's no way I could cheer for Texas. I feel like I would make the game on Saturday bigger, but I still feel like it's going to be a big game regardless. Obviously, Texas is going to play for seeding stuff.
Bama just won. Sorry.
Oh my God.
No, they didn't. But
they're up 5 already. They've been playing for 2 seconds in overtime.
Yikes! Yeah. Okay. You got another hypothetical?
Not really. I just want your guys' takes on it. I know it sounds crazy on the surface, but I don't know. The more I thought, and I'm kind of torn. Like, I can make an argument for TCU as well, or for TCU winning tonight as well. But it's just, I don't know.
The other way to look at it is
exciting games.
The other way to look at it is imagine TCU beats Texas, and then we beat Texas. Now we've won at TCU and at Texas in the final 2 weeks of the season.
And swept Texas.
And I don't know. Yeah. Obviously, we want to beat Texas. Where are you guys on that game? Like, I'm kind of at that point. Like, are we going to be locked in, or are we kind of just, I heard Bill say, I hope they go play with a free mind and just have fun, which I think when we've seen KU teams do that, it's been, we've been incredible doing that at times. But I don't know. I could also, after what they've been through to get here, the grind they had to go through to win this, I could see them kind of relaxing a little bit, not putting out their best showing on Saturday.
Yeah, because obviously if you play Texas, or if Texas ends up winning tonight, they'll definitely be locked in. Like, Bill will have these dudes ready to go. You're playing for an outright Big 12 title. I think there's got to be KU fans out there that are wondering if Bill Self's going to low-key, not like fully rest guys, just because you're playing for a 1 seed. But I feel like there's definitely KU fans out there that will ask that question if they end up winning an outright tonight. I guess if it got to a situation where they're down a lot late in the second half, maybe, but it is obviously a resume builder. And that if they win at Texas, AB, what would anything in KC really matter for KU? Like,
they probably
you want to win the first game,
right?
Like at 8 or 9, but how much would the Big 12 tournament matter if they end up winning at Texas, a team that is probably going to be a 2 seed in March?
Probably not a whole lot. I think they're pretty locked into the 1 line right now. I just don't know who's like going to catch them at this point. But yeah, if you lose in the semis in the Big 12, it's probably going to be Baylor, Texas, or K-State, and all 3 of those teams are on the 2 line right now. So it's not by any means a bad loss.
Thursday afternoon at T-Mobile could be pretty fun. K-State and KU.
Yep.
Also,
that'll be Friday night, right?
No.
Oh, you just mean the Thursday when they're all there.
Yeah.
I also one more question. How much? Obviously, we want to pass Bama and be the number 1 overall, but how much does this game really matter? Because they're not going to be in the Midwest.
Yeah, I do not care about number 1 overall seed. I just want Midwest.
So really. we really need to pass Houston, because Houston's going to prefer the Midwest, be in Kansas City. Bama, if they get the number 1 overall, they're going to be out east or wherever
South.
The region
they'd go to Louisville.
And they're really good, but I wouldn't guess they would win it would be tough to win the SEC tournament. So I feel like they're going to drop another one regardless. But does passing Bama really matter that much? Is it not going to be in the Midwest?
No, not particularly. But it'd be nice to take like one more team off of the what am I calling, like the possibilities of being above KU as a 1 seed. Like, if Bama loses this game, I think KU creates a little bit of space between them and Bama. And then if it comes down to, they should have to hop one more team. I don't know. I'm talking
so
about
Cole Pete.
That's
Cole Pete says if we lose one more, he doesn't feel like we can be in Midwest. I got to think if we lose Saturday to Texas and then roll through the Big 12 tourney,
or vice versa.
But I mean, Alabama's going to
What if you win at that's what I was gonna say. What if you win at Texas and then you make it to the Big 12 title game against a team that's gonna be a 2 seed? Like, Baylor, or I guess it wouldn't be K-State, Baylor, or Texas, you lose in a tight game. Does that kill your resume at all? Like, you make it to the Big 12 title game. On the way there, you're going to win 2 quad 1 games. Does that kill your resume by losing in the Big 12 title game?
It's just
I wouldn't
so
think
frustrating.
so.
It's so frustrating that, and I guess we're kind of just in our bracketology segment of the episode, but like, to think we might win 17 or 18 quad 1 wins and not get to play close to home, like it's going to make me mad. And I know Rinehart flipped us. We are officially in the Midwest as of now.
Which we talked about that before. What made him switch us? What made him put us ahead of Houston, like going into the Tech
I
game?
wonder if it was just winning the Big 12 out, or like for sure winning the Big 12.
Yeah, could be.
But it's just so Houston do they have at Memphis on Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then
I got them losing that one by 25, 30.
We just need them to lose one game and we can sit back. Yeah, Houston beat East Carolina. Congrats, Houston. We can sit back, feel really good about I think, like, so we're getting way, way into the weeds here. But, like, let's say Houston loses Sunday. We win Saturday at Texas, but lose in the semis of the Big 12 tournament. But Houston wins the American. You following me?
Yeah.
Are they getting the number 1 overall seed? Or are they getting Midwest?
Yeah.
With one loss, if they lose again, I'll lose my mind if they lose one more game and get seeded above us.
I have. Do you want me to rapid fire through these bracketology shit while we're on it? I don't want to spend an hour doing this. I very much could, but I won't.
Here comes Avery's Horned Frogs.
First thing I had was Bama Watch. That's just depressing at this point. The biggest thing, the net math just is not mathing to me, boys. I don't understand. I genuinely do not understand what goes into the net rankings. You're telling me a team with 15 quad 1 wins, that's 4 more than anyone else in the country, and like they've got 3 times as much as like the 15th highest team in terms of quad 1 wins. Like, it drops off rapidly. They have the number 1 strength of schedule in the whole country. They play in the best conference in the world, and they might win that by 2 games. How is that team number 6 in the net rankings behind teams like Tennessee and even with St. Mary's? Yeah. How?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I'm officially canceling the net rankings.
Well, yeah, it's like they make such a big deal and they show all these graphics about quad 1 wins and tell you how important they are and tell you got to have X amount to do this and do that. And it's like, okay, well, you tell us that all year, and then the team that dominates that stat is like being left behind a team that's played 5 games total in quad 1 with a quad 3 loss tacked on. Okay, you hadn't lost outside of quad 1. That needs to mean something too. We just
live in quad 1.
I don't understand what is like the net. And I must just be missing something obvious and like something else that goes in the net rankings. I don't know though, because
my only thought is like does margin of victory play a big impact? Because we haven't won by a lot in many games. So like maybe that plays, so Tennessee's blown some teams out, I think.
That's like Houston beating Tulane by 32 points is not more impressive than KU winning at TCU or Texas at home. Like, and I know I'm biased and I probably sound
tell that to the computer, not me. I don't know.
It's like I said, the math ain't mathing, and I just don't understand.
I feel like we would come to a point if we saw this resume from one of the better schools in the country, like another blue blood, that we would just be like, yeah, that team deserves the 1. Mm-hmm. They deserve to be put wherever they want it. Like, obviously we're biased and stuff like that, but if this was like a Duke or UNC who literally set the record for most quad 1 wins, they don't have a bad loss on their schedule. Like, we don't have a bad loss. So our resume is insane. I feel like we wouldn't be like biased when it came to another school if they had this good of a resume, where we would just be like, yeah, they deserve to be a number 1 and be wherever they want to be.
I've even been a little confused why Rinehart had Bama ahead of us. Like, we've got 1 more loss than them, yes, but we've smoked them, and I guess we're only going off quad 1 wins. I think is our problem is we're valuing that maybe a little too much. I don't know, but
it's not even just strength of schedule. It's non-con strength of schedules in the top 20. There's no bad losses. It's like everything they'll show you in blind resume season coming up next week. KU dominates all of that except the net. So I just don't know what else goes into the net that's thrown it off. But anyways, I don't want to give myself a headache. I think the number one seed is a lock. I already said that. Yeah. Here's another toss-up, and this is going completely against the grain of everything we've talked about all year. What you got, Braiden?
Could we lose out and be a number one?
Yeah.
Well, Lenardi says we have it locked up, so yeah, we probably would because it's Texas, and then maybe you lose to Texas Tech, but you're still, both of those losses aren't as bad as what Alabama, where Houston would lose to in their conference tournament. But go ahead with what you were saying, AB.
Okay, so all year we've been saying we want to be in Kansas City, and I get that. I want that as well. I want me to say that right now before everyone freaks out on me like I'm crazy. But I do want to ask, would you rather be in Kansas City with like a significantly and factually harder path to the Final Four, or be in New York or Vegas and have somewhat of a cakewalk? Because I don't know if you guys saw Jerry Palm's bracketology today. Laugh out loud funny how easy it is. I know I'd be jinxing it, but Marquette was our 2, Gonzaga was our 3, Virginia
wasn't Northwestern our 5?
Yeah, Northwestern, Virginia in the 4-5. Like, I'm sorry. If that's what we're going to get, send me to New York. Send me to the Sahara Desert. Send me to the moon. I want that bracket. I don't care where it plays.
You sound like Michael Beasley.
Yeah, well, he's pretty good.
We'll play him in Africa.
Do you guys have any
I think I said it. I think I said it last show, and I feel like I sounded crazy. But I don't really care where we play. I obviously want to be in Kansas City, but if we're not in Kansas City, I'm not going to melt down. I think I asked you guys that. Like, are you going to melt down if we're not in the Midwest? I think this team is just as tough as it gets, and they can beat anyone, anywhere. Kansas City's obviously an added plus. That place would be packed in crimson and blue, but we've seen it not work before. I'm not saying it won't again, but I'm not really going to be tripping if we're not in the Midwest.
I tweeted this earlier this week when I think a Lenardi bracket, or maybe it was like the field of 68 guys. The journalism dudes, I don't know, Doster, those guys, I don't know. They came out with their bracketology, which I don't know how much they know. And they had us as a 1 in the West with Arizona as our 2. And I said, if we break a record for quad 1 wins and end up in the West with Arizona, I'm going to lose my mind. And people were responding like, dude, Arizona stinks. Like, we'd take that in a heartbeat. It's not even about that. It's about how unfair it would be to win 17 quad 1 wins, win the hardest conference in America by a lot, and you got to go play a West Coast team. I don't care what people say about Arizona. Me and AB love Arizona. They've got some wild losses. They're still terrifying to me, I think.
Matchup-wise, too.
If we play them in the Elite 8 in a place that's closer to them, like, that just doesn't seem fair. But I don't think that's going to happen. I really think we're going to end up in the Midwest.
Lenardi has them on the 3 line now, right?
Zona,
probably.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
also,
UCLA was a 2, and the other 3 Big 12 teams.
Also, Ryan, do you know, and the listeners too, and AB, we talked about this last night, but if we're a 1, a Big 12 team can't be our 2, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking there's like 2 or 3 teams hovering around that 2 line in the Big 12 with K-State, Texas, Baylor. So it might come down to like 2 teams? Because there's going to be
probably pretty likely we're going to get UCLA if they're a 2, which I'm starting to think they should hop Purdue as a 1, but we don't got to get into that. So, it seems very likely that we could end up with Purdue, UCLA, Arizona. God, who else is up there on the 2 line? I still think Gonzaga could sneak up there with some other teams losing and them winning the
Marquette.
Feed me Shaka Smart.
Is Tennessee a 2?
I know we don't have the best luck in the Elite 8 against that little man, but
idiot. That's really all I've got. I kind of hit all the rest of them in that last one, but
who's on the 2 line?
Before we move on, comment section. Do you guys have any bracketology questions? Anything you want to touch on before we go? We've got one more segment we want to get to. Okay.
Tennessee and Marquette. Tennessee and Marquette are pretty close to the 2 line. Lenardi has them at 9-10.
Tennessee would have been a team that I would have said I hate the matchup, but now Ziegler's out for the year with torn ACL. And what's happening? AB's making face. Alabama, Auburn. Oh, no, that was a foul.
Why did he go up for the dunk and miss it? I thought he was going to blow that at the end. Yeah.
Why did he go
right.
up for the dunk? And
Sorry,
miss it?
folks. For folks listening, this is the worst podcasting of all time. But
Well.
yeah, Tennessee, I'd take all day now. Scariest matchup. I don't know. Where are we on like Zach Edey and Purdue? Purdue does not scare me roster wise at all.
Scare me. I don't even really have an answer, but I feel like we're forced to pick one. So I still think I would lean Zona, which is crazy. I think when they're clicking, their guard plays really good, but they got two really good bigs, Tubelis, Ballo. So I don't know who else I would say. I mean, Houston, obviously they're really good defensively, athletic. I think they struggle to score sometimes though. So I don't know. I really don't know who it would be outside of Zona.
Zach Edey terrifies me though. Like, I'm sorry, a guy that's almost a foot taller than our tallest player is. I mean, I can't think of the guy. Whoever 11 was for Tech last night was giving KJ the business downstairs at times, and it's like I can't imagine what a guy like Zach Edey would do. And that's nothing against KJ. He's awesome in certain areas, and he's been great all year. But just a guy that overpowers him that much is kind of terrifying to me. Matchups make fights. I don't think Purdue's all that good, but kind of scary.
Yeah, we got. Would you rather see UConn or Creighton as a 4 seed?
UConn.
Creighton.
I don't know. Creighton, obviously, we have the fear because they took us to the wire last year and they returned so much. But UConn, like analytically, you look at KenPom, like they could sneaky make a run in the tournament. Like they're one of the few teams in the top 20 offensive, defensive efficiency. Their coach is an absolute psychopath. Did you guys see Fran McCaffrey staring down that ref?
Yeah,
that was crazy.
That was so funny to me, though.
Did you see me lose plus 5.5 when they were up 10 with 40 seconds left?
Dude, I was watching that and I was like, I bet B-Turn somehow is on the other end of this game. Like you.
What'd you ask before the Fran thing? What were we talking about? UConn, Creighton.
How, like, I think they're scarier than Creighton.
KenPom wise, they're like last I looked, what, top 5 AB?
Yeah.
Sonogo would be a load. Pause. But Creighton has a ton of talent. Baylor Shireman, Nembhard, Kaluma, who was randomly going off on us.
Yeah.
Kalkbrenner would kind of be a load also in the post. Who else am I missing? They got one more guy that can play.
A lot of March loads coming out of you.
Did you talk Shireman? Did you say that, dude?
Their starting five's really good, but they're not deep. I feel like they don't have.
He's
much
a prime
production
candidate for like 6 for 6 first half from 3 against us.
I heard Doug McBuckets is coming back for the tournament.
Trey Alexander,
former Bull superstar.
Trey Alexander, who's averaging double figures. So their starting five is really good. I don't know. I feel like that's a team that could get hot and actually go on a run. Like I could randomly see Creighton making a Final Four.
God, I've said that all year. At what point do you stop stinking? You've been season's been going since November. Like, and I've been in agreement, but it's like, okay, we've been saying this all year, and they have just stunk.
How in the world did we almost lose to them?
I've got them losing first round this year. I don't care who they're playing. I'm taking the other team. There's just far too much hype for a 4 or 5 seed to like. Everyone loves Creighton. Every analytics website loves Creighton. Everyone thinks Creighton's going to be a sleeper, and it's going to be like Iowa last year where it just doesn't happen. And it's probably going to benefit us too.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
Finally,
I can't wait for everyone to pick Iowa to go to the Elite Eight and Final Four, and they lose to
TCU, Texas just got on the television with 5 minutes left in the first half.
Wow.
Actually, it's 3 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah,
they just got out of
Alabama. They escape again against a subpar team. But all right, let's move on. We're gonna do a new segment, which we've done this before in a way, but we've kind of organized it a little more. And it's something me and AB, we just randomly text each other these things. Sometimes we've talked about it on the pod with B-Turn before. We're calling it the "Can You Picture It" segment. And it's something we talked about all last year, right? Can you picture this team? You know, like you think of a scenario and you truly dig in deep in your brain and you say, can I picture this actually happening? Can you visualize it? Last year we would say, can you picture Bill Self on the podium with Remy Martin, Ochai Agbaji, Christian Brown, and we were all like, yes. Like,
The
if you
Kansas
can't
City
picture
Jayhawks?
that, like, Remy seemed like a guy that just belonged on a podium. I could just see it. I could. So that's our new segment. We each were supposed to bring one to the table because I like mine. I like mine.
Do you not read our text?
B-turn never comes prepared. Here's mine. Are you ready, AB, or do you want to go, or do you want to set the scene? This is kind of your idea.
No, I don't want to take credit for it because I feel like you were the one that put this whole like theory in my brain, and I've been obsessed with it because it usually works out perfectly. But I'll let you go ahead and go first. But you know,
so okay, I've been thinking this Kansas City regional thing has been consuming my brain. I want it badly. One, because I just really want to go to the games. Two, because here's my. Can you picture it? Can you guys picture Bill Self losing 2 straight Elite Eight games in Kansas City?
Nope.
Like, I'm not saying we for sure get to the Elite Eight. The tournament is chaos. We could lose. I can picture him losing a Sweet 16 game. I can picture him losing a second round game. If we make the Elite Eight and we are playing in the T-Mobile Center, we are not losing that basketball game. Bill Self is not losing 2 straight games. I can't picture the press conference where they're saying, Bill, you've now played in Kansas City Elite Eight twice and you've lost again. I can't picture it. I just can't. So I don't know, AB, can you picture it?
I was going to say no, and then I remember that Bill loves winning conference titles more than anything. The negative side, he loves losing Elite Eight games more than anything. So I'm not going to completely rule out that he could lose an Elite Eight game. But it did come to my mind as well. Like, you're really going to get an Elite Eight in Kansas City twice in 6 years?
As
you're really going to lose both of them. You're really going to lose them both. No.
Yeah.
With the top,
not happening.
We got a lottery pick on both rosters. You got experienced guys on both rosters that are National Player of the Year candidates. It's kind of a good comparison to this team, I feel like.
That's not me saying this team will roll to a Final Four at all. I'm just telling you, if we end up in an Elite Eight in Kansas City, we're not losing. I can't picture that. That's the only game I can't picture us losing in the tournament this year.
That's terrible.
So there's mine.
Good news. Defending champ hasn't made it to the Elite Eight since 2007.
Florida.
One other thing that I looked up before we got on, it's only happened twice in our lifetimes that the defending national champion ended up the number 1 overall seed the following year. I just stopped at 1994 because I didn't want to keep going back. Florida in 2007 was the number 1 overall, and Villanova in 2017 was number 1 overall, and then they lost to Wisconsin, I think.
Kyle.
Can we talk about Kyle Coffey right here? It'll get me on a rant. I won't go long, but he says, can you picture better KU golf-style hats coming out soon? I randomly tweeted the other night, making it my life mission to make better hats available for Kansas. I actually had people reach out to me like, hey, I'm with you. Like, we can help. Like, I had a golf pro from a country club or whatever reach out. I don't think it's possible, boys. I've ran into many dead ends. I'm still working on it. If someone can get me how much it cost to get the rights to put the logo of Kansas on hats, please let me know. I'll crowdfund it. I don't know what we need to do.
What about that block style letter K that someone tweeted last night? Could we get away with that one?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we threw up a picture of Tyon Grant Foster wearing our hoodie on our website, and they
arrested.
I mean, we were
Furious.
about to go to jail.
Yeah. Can you imagine us being like in an FBI court documented report about college basketball scandals, and it's saying the Ain't No Seats podcast is trying to sell merch off of Tyon Grant Foster, and
dude,
AB, what was your can you picture?
I haven't gone yet.
Let's go.
Talking about other shit.
I kind of want to just ask you guys, like, who are some teams that you absolutely cannot picture up on the podium, and why is the first team that comes to my mind always Purdue? I just cannot see Matt Painter up there winning a national title and Zach Edey's tall, goofy ass holding a trophy
because
and smacking the team against the board. I can't
We
see it.
can't even. I love you're doing it so well, though. These are the things you got to envision. Like, can you envision Zach Edey slapping the board? No, you can't. It's not happening. I don't know if they're my number one, though, because the fact that he is National Player of the Year, you know, you always kind of got to picture that guy. I'm trying to think who I just absolutely cannot picture at all.
Can I read a message from a fan,
Shot clock.
a good friend of mine that I was telling him because he also loves the Can You Picture It thing. And he said, can you picture any of these guys winning it? Shaka Smart, Matt Painter,
I would
Jerome Tang, or the Brandon Miller Nate Oates combo. To me,
Imagine
the answer
Tang hitting the Wabash.
to me, the answer is no to all of them. And then if you get past those guys, how many guys are left that can win the championship?
Bill Self.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
I can totally picture us with Jalen and McCuller.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say no to us, especially fresh off winning it last year. God, I don't know though, AB. I mean, you basically just took out
We got a
two of the top
two-white
5
comment.
teams in the country.
All those teams are like 1, 2, or 3 seats. It's insane.
I mean, I can kind of see Nate Oates and Brandon Miller,
I can definitely see Nate Oates.
but they are very.
Maybe in future years. I don't know about this year.
It's kind of
For
crazy
Oates,
to think, like, if
Miller,
Nato
obviously not either.
wins the title this year, he becomes like the number 2 or 3 guy in the country coaching wise. Like, he becomes one of the bigger faces in the game because Jay Wright, all those guys are gone. You're looking for more guys to step up. Like, I feel like Matt Painter is right there, but he's got to make a Final Four. God, I don't know. I really want to say Purdue and Painter are due, but to me, this roster compared to what they've had is just not it.
I feel
They've got
this would,
2. Yeah.
This would kind of be the year that Gonzaga does it, even though they're not good defensively at all. They're kind of flying under the radar. Their offense is unreal. They score 100 points a night. I've kind of been tough on their guard play, but I think their guard plays improved tremendously throughout the year. But I don't know. I could see Gonzaga randomly do it.
Off-brand Gus Johnson, a.k.a. Rodney Terry.
Ryan
He
loves
does
it.
look like him.
Off-brand Gus
What I was
Johnson.
going to say is someone in the comments earlier talked about 3-point shooting. And me and AB on the way home last night just talked about it's inevitable that this team's going to win 1 or 2 just disgusting games in the tournament. And we did it last year with Providence, which looking at that box score was disgusting. Oach was like 2 for 10 and he had 5 points, and Remy had 20 or
Just
23.
Remy doing everything that first
But
half.
dude, this team's going to win. It's going to be disgusting and we're going to have to survive and we're going to be pulling hair out and we're going to lose years off our life. But there's going to be like Jalen. He's 1 for 18 from 3. He hasn't hit a 3 since at Oklahoma State. And then Grady has his nights. Obviously, Grady's an elite shooter, but he has his nights where he's cold.
He was hot last night.
Yeah, 0 for 7. Dewan can shoot, but like McCuller has he's never been really a knockdown shooter. Dewan isn't really respected as a shooter. So we're gonna have a night where we can't hit threes, and it terrifies me. But I think this team's so battle tested, especially with the Big 12. I feel like we haven't talked about how ready these dudes are going to be for the tournament just from the Big 12, but their experience from past tournaments. But I think they've shown where they can get stops and they can win ugly, which is huge. Bill Self loves it. But yeah, terrified that we're going to have a night where we're 2 for 21 from 3, which I think we've done before in a tournament.
I love, and Kyle kind of shouted it out in that comment, but like, We've won games in the 90s. We've done it in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. We've done it where Jalen gets 2 points. We've now done it where Grady gets 4 points. So, like, we've proven that we can find ways. Now, we've done those at Allen Fieldhouse. Can we do this on a neutral floor without the crowd behind us? I don't know. That's the scary part. If Grady Dick goes 0 for 9 in a second-round game, I don't know how good I feel. But Cole Pete said, who's the Remy Martin that bails us out offensively this year? I don't know who it's going to be, but I can tell you who's going to try their dang hardest, and it's Joe Yesufu.
Joe Yesufu, baby.
That guy is going to get his shots up, and they might go in. And if they do, he's going to be the guy. I really don't think there's another candidate.
That's what scares me is I just feel like he can't even really get close to that level of Remy.
He can.
Where Remy's average. I know he did it at Drake, and I know he did it against a good USC team in the tournament. I just feel like, and last night I was pretty tough on Joe. at the old field house. AB knows that. I just feel like when he's not making shots, he does nothing. Defensively, Bill just loses his mind on the bench. The quickest yank of all time every time Joe messes up. But when he's not making shots, he's, God, I don't want to say useless.
No,
But
you said it.
just drives me crazy. And I don't know. It would be nice. I feel like he's going to have a game where he hits 2 or 3 threes in the tournament. I think Jalen Coleman Lands had a game. God, I forgot. What's it? Jalen Coleman Lands?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, that team last year, I was thinking
hit
about
a couple
this
threes
yesterday.
against
that
Creighton.
team was. You think about Jalen Coleman Lands was on our bench, Remy was on our bench, and Mitch was on our bench. Those are guys that have been in college for 1,000 years, and been good college players. Like, it's kind of wild. But yeah,
I don't know if there's more that you guys want to talk about on that note, but I'm just sad because my KU picture, it was good, but it got fucked because Texas stinks.
Well, say it anyways.
Well, so Texas is going to have all the tiebreakers against KU if they do tie, so they'd be the 1 seed. And I was going to ask if you could even realistically picture those 4 to 12 Texas old men that wear their cowboy stuff and their cowboy hats rooting on the Texas basketball Longhorns at 1:30 in the afternoon on Thursday, and Kansas City is the number 1 seed. Because I cannot.
That was your KU picture.
Yeah.
I love that was your KU picture.
Well, it was going to tie into like more of a prediction for Saturday if Texas won this game that we were going to win. Now, I think TCU winning this game means I have no idea what's going to happen on Saturday. If Texas won tonight, I would have, been super confident.
Texas might stink, by the way.
Do you think those guys are?
Do
you think those guys are still alive, or do you think they just replace them with old men every year? They just switch.
I remember seeing them in
hats. They pass the hats down. They don't move. They sit in their chair.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way the guys I saw in 04
they don't even throw a hook.
Same dude's still there. No chance. Those guys kicked the bucket long ago.
Also, listeners, we all gotta meet up in Kansas City next weekend. We should all be there. At least me and Rye. Hopefully, AB is there too. But if
I will
you guys
be there
wanna,
every minute.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Won't miss a game. I was thinking that. Do you go to the Big 12 championship if KU doesn't make it?
Probably not. I'd probably sling that ticket, sell it to somebody.
Aren't you? Whose party is it? Is it Tanner's?
Yeah, it's a bachelor party.
So, like, if K-State's in it and KU's not, like, you're kind of stuck and you got to go, right?
I'd probably just sell the ticket to a K-State person and let them. I don't know. Yeah,
you're gonna like bail on a bachelor party.
I have to go. Yeah, like, it's true. It's a bachelor party. I have to go. Yeah, yikes. I don't think K-State's making the Big 12 title game. Can you picture that?
Yes.
Well, they'd have to beat us, right?
No. So Texas is going to be the 4 seed if they lose tonight and we beat them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't love that.
Well, that's assuming. I think K-State won tonight. And I think if Baylor beats Iowa State and K-State's against Westphal, so maybe that changes things. But yeah, Texas is going to be 11-7 if they lose tonight and KU beats them on Saturday. So
before we start wrapping up, whenever we do that, probably an hour from now, we need to talk about a guy that we haven't even talked about on this whole pod, a guy we love, and we haven't even talked about the game Saturday, but Dewan fucking Harris has been absolutely tremendous. Last night, unbelievable. 7 for 12 from the floor, 16 points, just throwing out dimes. The way he sees the floor is crazy. What was his stat line against West Virginia Saturday? He had 17, I think.
18, yeah.
Yeah, and he was the best player on the floor against West Virginia. Can make Jalen obviously had 20 plus. Just Dewan controls the game so good defensively. He's up there, man, for one of my favorite Jayhawks of all time. And we've obviously been watching KU hoops for years. His story is unbelievable. We got to get him on someday because his story is crazy. People don't even know half the stuff. Just makes me so happy. And we might have him for 2 more years. Rye loves that. Talk about having him for 2 more years. We'll at least have him for 1 more, probably 2 more. But dude, he's great. And I feel
22-0
against any team. Plus. I feel great against any team when he's running the show, getting guys involved. I feel like he knocks down the majority of his open jumpers. He finishes around the rim besides the hook shot he threw at the backboard last night late that almost broke the glass. But I love him to death. He's fucking awesome. Like
I legitimately
love
am
Dewan Harris.
confident every time he shoots a three. Like that's not something I ever saw coming in his career, but I legitimately expect the ball to go in when he shoots. But
what do you guys think his personal accolade is, like ceiling is at KU? Like do you think in 2025 he's like an All-American candidate, like a National Player of the Year candidate? Because right now he's not putting up the numbers to do so. But as he gets older, and we've seen it every year since he's gotten here, he continues to get more comfortable trying to score and attack and be aggressive and shoot the ball better. Like, is he going to turn Frank Mason's senior year and be like the best passing, but also go out and score 20 points a night?
Do not take this as me comparing Dewan to this guy. But remember, like, Aaron Kraft? Like, not to compare him to Aaron Kraft, but, like, remember, he was like an All-American candidate. He wasn't a huge scorer, but people finally just started to realize, as I thought he was a little overrated, but, like, he did impact the game in a lot of ways. And I think at a certain point, people started to be like, okay, Aaron Kraft's an All-American candidate. Like, I think Dewan will get to that point.
Would you take him or Wiggins?
Did Aaron Kraft have any success against KU?
No.
He cried on the sideline because he didn't understand what was happening in the final 2 seconds. That's the craziest ending to a Final Four game ever, is it not? Not the lane violation, but like the fact that with 3 seconds left in a 2-point game, it's like, here you go, pass it in. Ohio State's still complaining, ball game.
We'll see you Monday night.
I just looked at KU's reference page. Off the top of your head, what is Dewan Harris's 3-point percentage this year? I can't believe this.
I don't know if you're going
to 38%.
Anthony.
I can't get a read.
I got to check this again.
42.
I feel like it's in the 40s since he's bringing it up.
It's 43%.
Shit.
From 3, and he's shooting over 2 threes a game. 43% from 3. And one of the best pure point guards in the country, one of the best defenders. He's 43% from 3.
So what if I told you like 6 months ago that there were going to be
I didn't know that.
5 games this year that Dewan shot double-digit shots and that he was going to shoot 43% from 3 on the year? We would have laughed at each other. That wasn't even like that would have been us going crazy to ourselves about like, oh, what if he did this? What if he did that? Are we going to be national champions if someone does X? And he's out there doing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, 4 for 7 his last 2 games. He's 27 for 63 from 3 this year. Just crazy. That added element for Juan. Like teams, I was watching Nova highlights last night from the Final Four, and teams are just sagging off.
Mm-hmm.
He hit a bunch of big shots against Nova, but yeah, I think Dewan. I really do think he'll play in the league someday.
I think he's finally started to realize that he needs to be a scorer, and that's going to be huge over the next few years, and especially the rest of the season if we're going to win a natty. Or I just want to make a Final Four. Back-to-back Final Fours would be so sick.
One more thing for me, and this is for the people in the comments too. We've talked about this all year, but how much does the height thing worry you about playing teams with length and height in the tournament? Because we talked about it all year, but they find ways to win. They got all the quad 1 wins. They beat all these good teams in the Big 12. So I'm sure it'll come to that in the tournament, but I think Uday I think he's progressed really well. But how much does it worry you in the tournament? And do we just need to get over that?
I'm pretty over it. I think, because you got to think about it. These teams have to figure out how to guard KJ Adams too. Like they've got to figure out how to guard our offense, which I think is tough to do also. Like Zach Edey doesn't want to be chasing around KJ Adams on the perimeter. Like, I don't know. I think we overthink that stuff. It's like Svi shut down Marvin Bagley like that.
Do you remember Jeff Withey against Mizzou in 2012? Like both games, he was just a non-factor, and they were starting Lawrence Bowers. Is that who it was? Or
exactly
Ricardo Ratliff.
Yeah, and I think he had 2 points in the 2 games.
Lawrence Bowers. I love that name drop. He's a KCSN guy, I think.
Yeah, I think
he was
a fellow podcaster.
Oh yeah.
All right, boys. This was fun.
Locked in as a 1 seed, 17 conference titles in 20 years. They just won the best league we've seen in a long time. Bill Self is best coach in Kansas history, one of the best
Real quick,
we've ever seen.
Sorry to interrupt. Love this from our producer in the private chat. Dewan is 49% on catch and shoot threes. He's a coin flip on a catch
Jordan.
and shoot three.
God dang you.
58% on
KenPom.
open catch and shoot threes. I mean, you're going to take that every day.
Love it.
All right, boys.
All right. Well, this was
Hour
fun.
time.
Shout out to all the listeners. Thank you for chiming in. It made this more fun, and we'll try and do this more often as we go. Let's I guess we're going to wrap up outright tonight, it looks like, because Texas stinks. But if not, let's go do it Saturday in Austin.